Beautiful morning, everybody, from my little forest in the garden, here with a new episode for today, and it's about guilt. Jehovah Witnesses, the masters of guilt. Why guilt? I was thinking about it yesterday, and I thought about my whole life was based on guilt, feeling guilty. Because from the moment I can remember, my life was based on feeling guilty. As a young boy, I felt guilty if I take a treat when someone's birthday at school. I feel guilty about staying in bed in the weekend on a Saturday. I tried to fake that I was asleep when my parents entered my room and wake me up because we had to go in ministry. And that kind of things on a young age give you the feeling that it's never enough what you're doing. So when you develop the feeling it's never enough, already in a young stage of your life, it's gonna grow and expand that feeling during growing up. I felt guilty because I didn't like the meetings as a teenager. And the nice thing about it is we have loving people around us who say they love us in the congregation, in the religion, but they don't correct you from love, but they place guilt on you. They say it's love, but what they're doing is let you feel guilty. Another example is Sven. I didn't see you at the ministry. Well, is there something wrong? And the minute you explain yourself because you had a good reason not to be in the ministry or at the congregation meeting or whatever, I notice that they are not interested in the reason. Next time come, eh? So half of the time they don't listen to you, listen to your feelings, listen if you feel depressed that time or you feel this or you feel that, but they just wanna say to you that they miss you at the meeting, but it's with an intention. It's not because they care about you and they have unconditional love for you. No, they just want to make a point. And that point is we miss you at the meeting and you have to go to the meeting. So they're placing guilt on us. They're placing guilt on you in the religion. And that's a tricky thing, because you're starting to feel guilty, and the end of it is a life you're living when it's never good enough. That's the end game. It's never good enough. You want to go to higher education, but it's not recommended because it distracts you from the service for Jehovah. So they're placing guilt on you. You have to do more in the ministry and you have to pioneer, and instead of going to higher education you go pioneering and stuff like that. Armageddon isn't coming. A lot of people stopped at 1975 with whatever they were doing. Also, my father stopped with his education. And now they're living a life 50 years later with low income and feeling guilty about having a low income, feeling guilty about not providing for the children, feeling guilty for a missed opportunity. But it's only the brothers and sisters who feel guilty and not the people on top who feel guilty. They don't feel guilty about anything because they're living a good life. They're living in the headquarters. They have a spa, they have a jacuzzi, they have a entertainment room, they have everything. Everything you're paying for, by the way. But that's another story. So my problem with the whole organization is it's based on fear, it's based on guilt and feeling guilty. They wanted me to be a ministerial servant. I did about 8 hours a month, so about the average, I believe. But no, Sven, if you want to be a ministerial servant, you have to be above the average people in the congregation or in that country. You have to do at least 10 hours. Okay, so I felt guilty about not doing enough. Problem one. Problem two is I managed to increase my hours a little bit. And then it was, yeah, but you also have to do at least 5 return visits a month, because then we can see that you're passionate about it and that you're doing the work Jehovah wants you to do. So nowhere in the scriptures is a scripture about how much hours you have to do to become a ministerial servant or an elder. But yes, let's make stuff up and let's make feel people guilty for not doing enough. Okay. So every time when you're doing your best you can, it's not enough. And that's the guilt they place on you. If you stay at home during COVID, there were Zoom meetings. In my congregation, when you had your screen on black, it was a problem. And then you get 2 brothers over to your house to encourage you to be a part of the Zoom meeting. Because we also want to see you, because that's encouraging. No, they want to see you because they want to check up on you. If you're dressed nice and if you're participating in the meeting and you're being busy in your Bible, following the lecture. So, because they want to control everything, there's guilt in place. They want to control how you feel, what you do, how you think, especially how not to think. So if they don't want you to do things, they place guilt upon you. Also, to do every time more and more and more. But you also want to love yourself, you also want to be yourself, you also want to be authentic, but there's no room for it because there's guilt and there's fear. So they always try to maneuver things that they can control you, and guilt is one of the best things they can do. People who left the organization, family members say, if you leave, then I my life has no use anymore, I commit suicide or whatever. They threaten people to stay because of their own victim mentality. This may be a nice next video, victim mentality. So everything inside the religion is based on guilt. If you don't show up for cleaning the congregation hall, the kingdom hall, there's always someone who comes to encourage you to be there next time, but it's always letting you feel guilty that you missed a beautiful opportunity to be with your sisters and your brothers and enjoy cleaning the hall for the 6th time that week. So for those little things, they already place guilt on you. My latest guilt trip I had was when I was already a few years out. The regular subscribers know that I lost my mom 2 years ago. I didn't have contact with the rest of my family, only with my uncle and his family, because they are worldly. So they keep me in the loop, what's happening when she was in hospital. And from my uncle I heard that my father said, I am the reason my mom died. Because I left the organization, my mom was hurt, was sad. The cat is walking by. Hey, Bebe. He's hunting. But my mom died, yes. But was it my fault that she died? My father said so. Maybe out of anger, I don't know. I don't care, because everything somebody does is their own responsibility. And that's one lesson I want to give you with today. Everything someone does is their own responsibility. For me, it's victim mentality if you say, yeah, because of you, my mom died. Mom died of her own grief. But I understand that she is sad because she lost her son, but always look what your own part in the story is. She easily could turn it around. Sometimes to check up on me or whatever. But it's their own decision to let hatred in or feeling guilty or whatever. So it's her own problem. And it sounds harsh maybe, but everything is from ourselves. But we all think we are victims because that's how the organization brought us up. Sadly, we feel guilty for things we don't have to feel guilty for. That's my message for you today. And it's hard, I know. We have to train our mind, we have to shift our mindset for it. But we were living a life full of guilt. Guilt was placed upon us, but that's not fair. Because you're always good enough. You always are the person you want to be. But people from childhood on screwed us up and put guilt on us. If I didn't read in the Bible that week, I felt guilty. If I didn't finish the Bible in a year reading, I felt guilty. Why? Because other people did it and they told me about it. Oh, you have to do that also, and it's good, and it's for your relationship with Jehovah, and it's all kumbaya and good. And so I felt guilty that I didn't read the whole Bible for myself. I felt guilty for not going into the ministry because I didn't want to that day. And they are so good in letting you feeling guilty that it's not enough. That's mind-blowing. They do a very, very good job. In a bad way. In a bad way, don't misunderstand me. They do a very good job in a bad way to brainwash people so bad that they feel guilty in every aspect of their life. And in no religion, or even out of a religion, you don't deserve to feel guilty that much as being a Jehovah Witness. But they present it as loving advice, but deep down below there's always a message in it. The message is you're not doing enough, you have to feel guilty, you have to do more. We have to give more. That's why we have all those commercials every time with donations in the broadcast. Talk about donation. I remember at conventions, always before the last day or on the last day in the morning program, they always said, yeah, people, brothers and sisters, we are so grateful for your donations, but we are short X amount. But we are so convinced that at the end of the program, when we're going home, it's all in the plus digits. So people feel guilty. My father or me, I already gave my donation, but I thought, let's do another donation because we have to take care of this hall. The hall is already from the Jehovah Witnesses. They built it already. Do you think that hall is costing 10,000-15,000 euro or US dollars a week? Because every week there was a meeting in that hall. Do you also think that's... No. They just letting you, pressure you to feel guilty that it's not enough. Every time you give, you think, oh, it's not enough. They are so clever of telling us how to get a feeling of feeling guilty. If you say something to someone in an honest way, you're just expressing your feelings, then someone stumbles upon it and then you feel guilty, but you just said the truth. But even the truth in the religion isn't appreciated. So you go to that brother and say, okay, brother, and you be the bigger man. He did something to you, but you are the bigger man, and say, okay, let it go. But they don't let it go. That's also the problem. So you still feeling guilty because of that. If you stay at home, you're not going to the congregation because you don't feel well. Somebody said, yeah, but you're healthy, you can be at the meeting. So every time there's guilt. And my message to you is, stop feeling guilty. Also, if you left the organization, stop feeling guilty. It's not your fault that someone in your family is disappointed. It's not your fault that someone in your family is depressed. It's not your fault for anything outside of yourself. It's not your fault. We all have responsibility for our own feelings. If someone says something to me now, I don't get triggered, so I also don't get offended. And that's the key. To have so much self-love and self-reliance, building up self-reliance, that we're not living in fear of guilt anymore. We're not guilty about anything what happens till the day you get here. That you went out, it's your choice. Don't feel guilty about it. You just took another path on your journey. What's wrong with that? Nothing. There's nothing wrong with choosing your own path in life. We're all here to create something. We're all here to experience different things. But don't let guilt run your day, all day, every day. But stop with feeling guilty. I know we're brainwashed that way. I know we are taught that way. Always feeling guilty, that God is looking on me. And if I was doing something, God was looking at me. God has no time to look at me the whole day. If I didn't do my prayer, God is gonna punish me. I'm not going to paradise. And that's the biggest guilt trip. Don't get to paradise. They have such power over Jehovah Witnesses with just the word paradise, because we are so feeling guilty that we are not good enough to receive the reward of paradise, that we are running around like headless chickens. And that's the sad truth. So don't feel guilty about your decisions. You did it with the best intentions. You did it with the knowledge you had at that time. Whatever other people are doing, let them do their thing. Don't stress about it. Don't take it personal. Live your life. Do good. Be compassionate. And search for people who lift you up in life. Thank you guys for today. Subscribe to the channel. Like this video. And if you have some comments about why you're feeling guilty about still, or what I missed a lot of things, I think, to feel guilty about when we were growing up as Jehovah Witness. I'm curious to see what things it is. Let me know in the comments, and see you on the next episode.